together. We can actually come together at this time and we can share. I want to give a special welcome to all the persons who are online this evening. And I am glad that you made the time to actually come and to share with us. And we know, or I'm thinking that we all know that May is celebrated as Child's Month. And we know that there's a theme that we always look at when it comes on to Child Month. And this month, we want to explore the theme and we want to look at it. So I see a lot of persons. I see my elder joined. Welcome, elder. Oh my God. So I just want to ask, before we get started and we get into the discussion, I want persons online to tell me one thing you love about one of your child or your children. I want to hear from you. Something you admire about one of your child, something you love about them. Tell me, I want to hear.
All right, so let me go. For my little son, he's 8. And whenever times, if he sees that I am in a mood, he will come and he will try to reassure me, Mommy, you're okay. And he'll try to give me a hug and he'll touch my, touch my jaws and make sure, and say something that get me smiling.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else want to share?
Nikki, how do you respond to a question like this when you have your quiver full? When they have a quarter dozen plus one. Oh
my God, that is so true.
What do you do? Do you say any mini more? And then
so you know what you're gonna do it, because they might be listening and hear.
It's me run the rules, but don't run around it. All right. I'm specifically going to choose my son for 2 reasons.
Okay.
He's the only male child. He's the only male child. I know that girls have athletes. Mushy. He's not mushy. But how the kind of a care that he has as a grown male. Well, he can ball out him age. I mean, at 31, you will say, Daddy, you're right. That kind of a thing. And well, I mean, my name kind of changed from one number. I think it's changed from Dad to Daddy to Pops to Chilo to Wallace. Me gone back to Daddy. You understand? Just let me know some headspace, right? But the fact that at that age, you still feel love coming out of him, which is something that I don't know if I am right in thinking this way, but it's something that you probably would have gotten from a smaller male child, but at that particular age, the kind of love and energy that you feel from him. And outside of that, one of the things that I love about him is I'm very comfortable speaking to him. I mean, I can have any kind of challenge, and the challenges that I have, I will feel very comfortable as a parent or as a father to a son, speaking to him, and very, 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 very sobering advice. Very sober. If I want somebody to be unbiased and somebody who is really going to be looking out for my own interest, but at the same time, kind of not putting up with my foolishness, you're not the right person. Yeah, awesome. I love that about.
All right, thank you, Elder. Next person, I want to hear from about 2 more persons. One thing that you love about one of your child or your children. All right, go ahead, Chantal. I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you. If you're speaking, Chantal, we're not hearing you. You might have to log out and come back, and then when you come, whenever, at some point, I can give you the opportunity to speak. One more person, tell me, come on. Anyone else online have a child or have children? Don't let her call names, because I know the names. I see it display right here. And even if it's not your correct name. Right. One more person.
You hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Go ahead, Chantal. And then Nina. Go ahead, Chantal, and then Nina will go.
All right, so good evening, everyone.
Good
For
evening.
me, my daughter, yes, my daughter, even if you're a mother, just know she still come in loving you up. And if you don't want nothing, she don't want malice, she don't want grudge, she don't want anything against you. She just acts as if that moment has passed.
Okay, Chantal, and I think a lot of children, or most children, if not all of them, are like that. And I think maybe that's why the Bible said that we should be like little children. So we will always be running into our parents, running into our daddy. So thank you for that, Chantal. Go ahead, Nina.
Oh, good night, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Okay, I have one of my son. He is very loving and caring, and he will want to do anything he can to do for anybody else. But I don't know. I don't know if he get big and grow it out or whatsoever. I see many things what I used to see with him before changes, and it changed a lot. But I know that prayer changes things, and I'm continually praying for them because I know that God will carry them back to the place where they was.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Nina. And I think your situation is the reverse of Elder. Elder is saying that his son is still loving and stuff, but your son has changed. All right, thank you guys very much for sharing this afternoon. I want to challenge you. If you have not said it to your child before that you love them and you love this about them, I'm going to challenge you this evening that you would say to them, maybe not tonight, but as soon as you get a chance to say to them, tell them what you love about them and what you appreciate about them. All right? Can I get a amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Awesome. All right, so we're going to get into the discussion, and remember we're exploring, we're looking on the theme or National Child's Month theme. It says children need our love and protection. Get involved, and we want to look at it and see how best we can actually share love. And some persons might be here and they might say they don't have any children to protect and to love, them that have nobody. But the children you pass on the road every day, the persons you come in contact with at church, at school, in your community, all of them. So when we talk about children, we're not talking about your biological children alone. And I remember Elder was saying early in Quiver Full, and I know for a fact that when he's talking about that, he's not only talking about the ones he has at home, but also the ones at church and all around. So with us this afternoon this evening, to discuss and to look at the topic that we have before us is Mrs. Ceta Williams Smith. Now she is the senior guidance counselor at Russell Primary School, and she has been practicing for over 24 years. She's a justice of the peace, right? She loves counseling. She loves her student. I can tell you that. She check on them all when on a school day. Me don't know how she do it. She check on them. It's as if she not see them, she have a headache. Me don't know how she do it. She called to find out. I mean, I don't see a child at school, what is happening or stuff like that. I mean, and I'm not the only parent that talk about it, so I know that she must be doing something good. And last but most important, she's a devoted Christian. And one of the things that she ensure happen in the school all the time, she ensure that this happens, is devotion. She always come up with some special devotion. She wants somebody to come and talk to the children about a special topic. She feel like this needs to be done for her children, and that is how she always operates. Her children, her children. Mommy, when your daughter gone, you have to bring back my children. I'm like, okay. So that is something that I really love about her. And she's going to help us now to look at this topic this evening, sorry. How is it that as parents, as guardians, as young people, adults, we can actually love and protect the children that are in our homes, around us, in our community? So let us pray at this time as we get started. Father, we thank you for this evening. And I want to thank you for everyone that took the time out to be here tonight. And as we share one with another, I pray, God, that your spirit will be with us. And everything that is said, everything that will be said and will be done will be pleasing to you. Father, I pray that you will get the glory and your name will be praised in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen, everyone. All right. So I want a thumbs up if you're still online. Let me see you put using the reaction button and put a thumbs up so I know that you're still there with me. Because I'm not seeing any faces. So I want to know that you're still out there with me. So let me. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chantal. Thank you, Mr. Brian. Thank you, Quinlan. All right. So I know a person's out there with us. Mrs. Smith, I want you to start this evening to tell us something fun about you. I know I read all the things that are we would call professional and stuff, but tell us something fun about you.
Oh, Lord. Fun. Well, I like to make people happy. And I must confess that, and I need to do a reality check because I just keep working. So I guess because I'm one of the counselors who are always on call. Persons who will say after certain hours, phone is off. I am home after 8, I get call. Child is still at school. After 11, I get in call. Child is missing. So I don't know if there's any fun in that, but I'm getting there. I guess I just love what I do. And so I am always at it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I remember when we went to JCDC and I mean you sat up till after 11 calling every minute. My girls reach home yet. I mean, let me tell you, persons online, she didn't even ask me if me reach home, you know. I was there with them and hear her. My girls reach home yet. So yes. And so that is very good. And I really appreciate that, Miss. All right, so we want to get into the topic. And we want to talk about, the theme says children need love and protection. But I mean, love is a word that we ask persons to actually tell us what love means. And persons can't really tell us. Do you have a definition for love?
Well, love can be expressed in any way. And for us in the school system, when we talk about love, we have to bring it to a level for the students to understand, because love for them means becoming intimate, right? And so at that level, we have to break it down to them to ensure that they understand that love comes in many forms, all right? And especially as we are looking at this theme and how we can show children love, for them to understand and to know that that is love, even if it is going to be tough love, which is also one of our question here tonight.
Right, because we're going to talk about the whole tough love thing. But you said to us that you have to show them love in a way that they will understand. How is it that we should actually show children love?
Okay, so look, our good presenter always have her notes, so all right. So we show love to our children by treating them as little humans, right, and not lesser humans, breaking the cycle that we as adults may have, or that we were exposed to as children, that would have prevented maximum development in ourselves. All right. So, for example, we may have baggages. Maybe when we were growing up, you know, we didn't get that lovey-dovey, or you were abused as a child, and so as a parent, no, if you did not get over those baggages, or if you were not helped, then it may prevent you as a parent from expressing that love. So we have to first do a reality check with ourselves, see if there are any baggages hanging, and try to build that cycle before we can give that optimum love to our children that they need.
All right, so you're saying that the parent themselves need to look into themselves first, or the individual, to see if there's anything baggage. But Miss, in society that we're living in with the man thing and men don't want to show affection to men. Should a father be hugging his son?
Oh, most definitely. And that father should also affirm his son every day. Show love and affirm. In my practice, and of course, when I have parent consultation, and when the fathers come, it is a task to get them to hug their sons, because we are of a homosexual society. And it's as if once the boys start move from that little baby stage, then we feel that we should not be hugging them or showing them that amount of affection because boys must be tough. But believe it or not, boys do need our affirmation every day. We do need to hug them and we do need to assure them that they are loved as well.
So then not go girly, miss? I mean, yeah, hug them and I say I love you every day. Them not go girly.
No, that is a misconception, and we need to move away from those misconceptions. And also, that is why, and if I should point out that the stats shows that the suicide rate is actually higher among males because we were socialized, or males were socialized to believe that they must bottle up things inside, they must cry. If they share, they are labeled as sissies and girls. So you find that while we will talk to our female counterparts, the males tend to internalize. And so when it gets to that maximum, they complete suicide.
Okay, so you're saying that we should, just as how we would hug the girls, we should hug the males as well, the boys. And we should encourage them to share.
Yes. And we should affirm them every day, just the same as we would with our girls. Yes.
Awesome. All right, so that's some of the ways we can actually show them love. Is there any other way that we can show them love? Because some of the times, what I understand from some parents is that as long as them provide, them no need to do nothing else.
No, and that is where for that concept, for example, the barrel children concept too, because a parent may feel that because they are away and sending the name brand and sending the barrels and stuff like that, you find that they believe that is, or they do that to make up for love. But being affectionate to a child, nothing can take that place.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So on that note, do you think we can? All right, go ahead. That's Sister Nina. Go ahead.
When them reach certain age, as a boy child, them don't want. For me, I can speak for myself. I have a 17-year-old and them don't even want me to hug him because he said that, mommy, oh no, mommy, no, mommy, no, man, you can't talk about him. No want a mommy hug, and sometimes him have a problem of me not hugging him. How can I deal with that?
All right, so because he's now reaching the. Okay, so you're saying that sometimes he wants you to hug him and another time he doesn't? That's what you're saying?
Yes, yes.
All right, so the time when he reach out to you for that hug, maybe at that time, that is when he really needs the reassurance from you. So, as they grow and change into teenagers, we need to give them their space. So yes, you can have that talk with him. And if he doesn't want that close-up hug, just a pat or, just something to reassure him that yes. But if when he reaches out to you, make sure that, you are able to give him that assurance that he needs. As they change, as they grow up, they're not going to want, especially as I said in our society, I said, Miss Mommy, a girl thing that. But, we have to break them away from that cycle to believe that males, that we cannot hug them. We need to get them out of that concept. It's not going to happen overnight because, as I said, socialization has a lot to do with it. And when they go to school, when they hang out with their peers and all of these things. So, but as parents, we have to ensure that they feel that love at home. They feel that assurance from home so they don't go searching for it elsewhere.
Awesome. Thank you, Sister Nina. I hope that answers your question. But Miss, you said something a while ago. Space. What kind of space children need, Miss? Them need them should even have door pan them room and them stuff. Miss, on my house and their children, why them need space? What kind of space them need?
All right. Yes, it is our home. We pay the mortgage and everything. You can establish an open door policy, but don't just impose and say the door must be open. And, have that discussion, have that conversation. And sometimes as parents, I think we're guilty of not having that conversation. Because we believe because we're the adults, we're paying the bills, we're just going to, set the rules and that. Set it together, right? Let your child know that I don't like it when the door is closed, or I need to know what is happening. But as they grow older, yes, they're going to want their privacy. But, however, let them know that at any given time, I must be allowed to come into your room. It must not be locked with a padlock. You must have access. But in the same breath, you're going to respect their privacy because you don't want to drive them away from you. But if it is that if you realize that your child is always want the door closed, don't want anybody to interrupt them, that's a red flag, right? You have to dig deeper to see the child may be slipping into depression, and so we have to be vigilant where that is concerned. But in the same breath, you have to respect their little space as they grow bigger.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss. So can I actually love my child too much?
Can you love your child or children too much? All right. So there's no such thing as too much love, right? In our culture, where why you spoil a child, or there is love and then there is hate. It's just one or the other. So is it you're going to love your child, affirm your child, love your child, or you're going to hate your child, right? Believe it or not, in my line of work, I have had when mothers reach the frustration level, miss me hate. I said, do you understand what you're saying? You understand? Wow. So it is not an easy job. They don't come with a handbook. It's a learning process. And sometimes it becomes very overwhelming, right? And there are questions, Lord, what next can I do? You have parents and they come and them pour out and you just have to listen and, try and find that middle ground for both of them to come and, to build back that relationship. Okay. So pour love into your child, let them feel love. So my mantra is always, if you don't love them, they're going to seek the love elsewhere, and you don't want that to happen.
Yes, I hear you always talk about that you must pour love into your child. But earlier you said something, because you said we can't love them too much, but earlier you made mention of tough love. What is tough love?
All right, so I have here that tough love is basically a display of lack of emotional, physical expression. Let me go over that again. What is tough love, and is there any benefit? So tough love is basically a display of lack of emotional, physical expressions in order for a child to become less dependent on the need for the affection. So people might have a misconception of tough love. So the child comes to you maybe wanting something, and you say, boy, you're not going to get it this time, and you're going to show that child tough love, and so it depends on how you interpret that tough love to be.
Oh, because Miss, they always say tough love have to do something with the child does something wrong. Right. And you're going to allow them to be punished and stuff like that. So that's how they always use it. But you're saying it, repeat for me so I can get it.
So it is basically a display of lack of emotional, physical expressions in order for a child to become less dependent on the need for affection.
Oh. All right.
And then so there are no benefits really for tough love, right? And it goes on to say, as we can all see, with the senseless killings in our country, Jamaica, where people are so brutal, right? So we then in turn ask for mercy, but how can we, when these are the same people we told not to feel or don't cry when they were younger?
That's
So
true.
it's time we begin to break these unhealthy cycles. So when we say, if they suppose a boy and a girl will be outside playing, the boy and the girl fall down. The girl start crying, hush her, but it make the boys, they have to see. Yeah, you know? So they're meant to believe that boy,
True.
you know, they must cry and mustn't express any emotions. And so
Yeah.
that is why today they find it difficult to express themselves when they are experiencing emotional crisis and emotional stress. It is harder to pick up depression in boys than our girls because we say they must be tough, you know. So they are going to tough it out when indeed they need affection and love just the same.
And Miss, some of the times we really show this mixed thing, you know, because I would love up my daughter, and then the next time I say, "You act like a boy," so you just have to. Remember, you know, she drop on me say, "Get up, man, and tough it out." When she tough it
Yeah.
out, no me and say, you just act like tough so like a boy." And we do the same thing with the boys. We say to them, "Tough it out, man," and then the next time we say, we give them the love and them act stuff, and we say them are going like as they say, sissy. So some of the time
Right.
we send mixed signal to the
Yeah, man.
children.
Definitely, definitely. Because even at school, you know, when the boys I said it's okay to cry. They fall down and they don't want to cry because they don't want their friends to laugh at them, and you know, so it's okay to cry. Nothing is wrong with crying, you know. So
Yeah.
it is really sometimes really just to see them, you know, boys in operation from the girls because they're trying to put up this, you know, this toughness
Toughness.
and
Yes.
right.
Awesome. So as parents, is there a different love that a parent would give to their child or children from someone who is not a parent? So as somebody who is online, are they
Yeah.
would they love their children different from somebody who is not a parent?
All right. So if you don't have a biological child for yourself, that's what you're saying.
Yes.
And if you would be able to express love for that, for example, like persons who adopt
No,
or
not just children, that children in general. So your love for your child, is it different than a love that is
oh,
expressed for
okay.
another?
Well, I guess because the love for your child, you would have that bond, that parent-child bond, and so the love shared with that child would be different from the love given to one who is not your biological child. Because you know that special bond between mother and child. But you would still give another child love, but it would probably be at a different depth than what you would give to your own child.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I want persons online to just drop in the chat some of the ways that you actually share love to your child. So let me see persons put in some information in the chat. Tell us, how is it that you actually share or express love to your child or children? So we hear a few from our presenter this evening, but I want to hear from some of the persons online.
Auntie Nikki, if I may,
Go ahead.
and it has not to do with what you just asked, but I'm kind of multitasking because in a
Sure.
few we're doing something at Kara, so I was kind of multitasking. But I just want to go back to something that was said earlier, a question that Nina asked, and I'm going to speak from a male perspective. I think that
Sure.
one of the things is that as our children, especially our boys, get a little bit older, they become I don't know if overly sensitive is the correct term to use. The guidance council can guide me on that. But when you see when the it was pointed out that the young man doesn't want to be hugged, I think that it probably has to do with time and place because they the truth is that we are affected by what is around us. And we are bothered on occasions by people's opinion. When you reach a certain age and stage in your life, people's opinion don't bother you. I mean, what they think can stay for another day. It's not going to affect you today. But at that age and stage, what is said to them or about them, not all of them, but maybe the majority of them, I can be corrected on this. They don't want to be in a situation where they are not they're not the norm, as it were, a norm in quotation. So maybe at home it is okay to get the hug, but out on the streets or at school, that I'm right as well. Because and the truth is that you are not going to be there with them when they are being taunted. So they are being protective of their own personal emotions. When they don't want the hug, they don't love you, and it's not that they are rejecting you. But right, that's another environment in a call for. But it's when we come home now, a different. I think
right, that's what I was saying to mommy. Don't worry when he doesn't want you to reach out, as was pointed out. Could be, especially if his friends are there. He doesn't want, not gonna want you to hug him there. So yes, there's a time and a place for.
It's not the rejection of the love and the embrace and stuff, because the truth is that we are I mean, people in psychology like to talk about wired. Whether we are wired or created that way we are created with the capacity to love and to be loved. And everybody, don't care how you see we are beat up a gum, but we don't want this. We want to be loved, you know.
Yeah,
but
because Maslow, that psychologist pointed on his hierarchy of needs, love and belonging is the first item of that hierarchy. So all humans, we want, no matter how we behave as if we're tough, and we definitely need love and affection.
Yes. Thank you. Elder, you're finished?
Yeah, yes, I am. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I see MCT. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. This is Michael.
Good evening.
McKenzie-Clarke from school.
Welcome, sir.
I just want to add my 2 cents. I do agree with Rev, what he's saying. And it also depends on the environment in which a child is growing up in. My son is 23 and he's not afraid to hug me anywhere. Sometimes I have to say, boy, come on for me. You're a big man now. So it boils down to the relationship or the bonding that started from the young age upwards. It also, as Rev said, is impacted by the community in which the child is grown. Because if he's grown in a, let's say, inner city then, because we know how the boys are in the inner city. I remember a student saying to me that his father never yet hugged him. We had a conversation and he said his father has never hugged him. I remember the first time my father hugged me, and that's at a very, up in my age. My father has never hugged me. So it boils down to the relationship you have with your son, especially the environment in which he or she is grown, to know that it is okay to hug, and hug doesn't necessarily mean sexual as well. So it's a sit down conversation that you would have with your child as well, to explain to them hug doesn't mean sexual, as Mrs. Smith mentioned earlier. Is for the child to understand that love doesn't mean sexual. There are different capacity of love and levels of love.
Thank you very much, sir. But Mrs. Smith is who's supposed to actually teach the children those type of love thing? Is the parent or the teacher?
The first teaching begins at home. First teaching begins at home. We reinforce and at school and strengthen and follow, but the first teaching really begins.
It starts at home. All right, thank you very much. As the person, that's true, sir. Church.
Yeah, yes. And the community, yes, the community. Yeah.
Yes. So Samson Phone said, I've seen parents bond with children that are not theirs, even more than their own child. Wow. It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen. Yes.
Yeah. Not all parents are closely bonded with their child. The person said, my son hugged me and kissed me up at home, but outside the home, me better hold my space. So the son don't want the affection outside, just at home. Okay. My father never hugged my brothers because he thought that looked funny. That's how he grow up, but the love. That's how he grow up, but he loves them. Okay, so the person is saying that their father didn't hug their brother. So the hug thing, I tell you, miss, the hug thing is a serious thing, we hug up the girls, but we don't
Yes, exactly.
the boys
And as I said, based on our culture and our society, it just, as well as somebody said, it looks funny. That is their conception. And so we need to break that cycle. And as I said before, we have to affirm our girls are always getting the affirmations.
I wonder if it have to do if that no play a part. Well, some ladies, I have heard it, once they touch the man or hug up the man, they say that, and Mr. Thompson talk about it, they think they want something else. So they associate a hug with something intimate. You think that have anything to do with it, miss?
As I said, it depends on how they interpret what love. Or they have something that says there's a misconception of love in our society today. We know from biblical teaching that love doesn't hurt or grudge, but is pure. Many times it is confused with lusting. So probably that is what you're alluding to, which is only sexual desire for someone or something. But once that desire is filled, expressions of affection goes with them. Then we say love hurts. But it actually doesn't. It just was not love from the beginning. So lusting may be confused there with love. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And thank you for sharing as well. I want to find out now, because we look at love, and remember the theme says children need love and protection. How is it that we can protect our children then? See that we're not always with them. So how is it that we protect them?
All right. So I think there was a question about is there any physical or outward signs? We looked at that one already. That can say a child might be lacking in love. All right. And then that would lead us into all right. So children lacking in love may appear, and I use the word appear, to be needy or attention seeking. They may also become overexpressive with any person who shows them the slightest bit of attention. And I can tell you that at school, for example, a child who hugs their teacher every minute, he or she sees that teacher, shows that the child is not being hugged at home. As I have some boys, and remember, as females, and we have to be careful because the whole child love. So when they are running to come and embrace, and I just have to ease them up and say, and just pat them on the shoulder barely. Because you have every second you pass, they want a hug.
Oh.
Boys and girls alike, yes. So we have had that, especially at the primary level, And, we strike a conversation with them and ask them if mommy hug them at home, or most times that is not present. And, they would say no. So we would, reach out to that parent, have the conversation with the parent and let them know that they can hug. I find that's lacking. When we have a parent consultation, hug your child, tell the child that you love him, vice versa. And it's the hardest thing sometimes for them to hug that child, So as Rev says, once they start getting big, it's they feel that we don't need to hug, but they do need our hugs and our affection, just the same.
Okay.
Leading into how can we protect our safe spaces within our homes where they feel loved, accepted, and heard, right? So sometimes I know you're busy and you're coming tired from work, and your child, even if a nonsense they're going to say, take a little time out to listen to them. Ask them how was their day at school. What do you do, who you play with, stuff like those. Let them see that you're interested in them. So once you can create a space for them to feel loved at home and accepted and heard, then they don't need to go and search for it anywhere else.
Miss, you see my daughter? But I feel just give her the ears when I reach home.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, and Like she would come home and she would say, Mommy, I know I shouldn't do this, but I do this at school today. So I would always listen, and she knows she shouldn't do it. But I have to give her the time. So when I'm on the phone, I reach home, I end the conversation, and I give her some time for her to talk, for her to tell me everything. I don't know some of the time. I don't know how I do it, but I have to ensure, because she's going to tell me, say, Mommy, you're not listening to me. Mommy. And if I take up the phone some of the time, she would say, but Mommy, you're on the phone. So I have to ensure that I give her a little time to express herself. And I realize some of the times other persons will say, La, Nicola, you can chat in. But I try not to, because I want her to always be running to me to tell me.
Right. So I want to build that relationship.
I find that she
do, free to come and speak about anything. Yeah.
Even if it is the bad things, and that is what I noticed. All right, so we're talking about protection now. And we feel that is the man should do the protection, right?
Well, both ways. So is there, are we talking about being overprotective? Because sometimes you hear that term used loosely, boy, you're too overprotecting, and you need to let go, and you know.
Helicopter parent means to hear it.
Yes, we hear it, man. You need to let go, and you know, we're being overbearing and we're being overprotective. All right, so what is the parents or guardian role in protecting a child? Is there really something as being an overprotective parent or person? And what are the signs that you're being overprotective? All right, so we have to understand that we're living in different times now. A person cannot be too protective over their children. And I like when we their country and I grow up and I could walk the streets, and I know that even if somebody's accompanying me, it's on good terms and I don't have to worry, right? But now, a different kettle of fish. So we have to have that extra antenna out, right? So different time calls for different things. But even with this, we have to realize that if we become overly anxious and over the slightest thing that's happening with our children, then it's time to take a step back for our own mental health, because I'm guilty of that. My daughter is at university, she lives on campus, and if I don't hear she call, it's like after, and if I don't get her, it's one whole bag of something. Start running to, I don't want her to take taxi from university to pop in, you know, because I said a kidnap. So I understand that overly, and it can do a mental thing on can really affect your mental health. So if we find out nothing is wrong with being overprotective, but if we find out that, you know, we are becoming, then we need to take a little, you know, step back and do a little mental health check for ourselves as well.
Okay, because a lot of persons, and I'm glad you use the example that some persons, I mean, the children never take bus yet. And person would say they're overprotective. But as you said, the time that we're living in merits us to do certain things, and certain things have to change.
Definitely.
I mean, even the fact that some of the times would you leave the children at home, you understand, and you know that you could call a neighbor next door and say, you know, going down the road, look, give an eye for me. But we can't do that anymore. We have to be very careful.
Very careful. A lot of perverts, and that that is one that sets off my antenna. So I don't, when it comes on to like leaving a child, be very careful where you leave your child. And we have seen it in COVID. The sexual abuse cases were up, even with own family member. And if any one of my little ones that I teach, and when I teach good touch and bad touch, I say, listen, if I have father, find me. You understand? If you're scared to be anybody else, find me. So they know, you know.
Awesome. And someone was, Samsung phone was saying that we need to be genuine with our children and allow them to feel comfortable with us to share. And that is so true. They said the same person said that some of them just too prime to So you have to know how to communicate with them.
Yeah, man, you have to know how to curtail the conversation with them, but never ever shun your child. Listen to them, and if you think that, because when you grow up and go at an argument, they may be too big, you just steer it to their age group. And sometimes they ask a question, they watch something and they ask a question. If you don't know at the moment, just tell them that you're going to find out, but don't tell them nonsense. Say baby come from and whatever.
Right.
Say to them because they're going to find out, So we have to teach them and teach them the right thing so they can understand and make informed decisions for themselves.
That is true. You mentioned earlier that if you find that you're being overprotective, that you need to look into yourself. But what are some of the reasons that why is it that parents become overprotective? What are some of the reasons?
All right. So as was mentioned before, based on trust factor, because when we're growing up, we could probably trust a family member or a friend to look at their child, but now the very same person is turning around and abusing your child. So the changes in how, the society, the country and a whole, and you have some persons with this same concept about virgin will cure their STIs, so they will want to molest their little girls. And it's not just the girls that we have to protect anymore. We also have to be mindful of our boys as well. So that is one of the reasons, or some of the reasons why parents can become overly anxious based on, how the whole kidnapping thing and all of that. So it's very, very nerve-wracking, and it is because of what society has become.
And I think persons experience too, Miss, because you went through certain things, you are so protective of your son or your daughter because you don't want them to go through the same thing. So I think experience, yes, and sometimes even the community that you live in, because certain things happening in the community, you have to keep your son inside or keep your daughter inside.
Yeah, man, I've gone to seminars where parents have shared experience, depending on the area that they live in. Once their daughter turns a certain age, they have to send them away, report them as missing, just to ensure their safety. So it is really tough out there. It's really tough.
To go as far as report them as missing.
Yeah, man, to protect you, they have to protect their little girls. Yeah.
So I want to turn the attention. Okay, thank you, girls and boys. I want to turn the attention now on the child. How is it? The child, when you love and protect them, what are the benefits for the child?
All right. So when a child is protected and loved, that child in turn maximizes their fullest potential, knowing well that the support they need is there at home. It is there to be had. It also causes them to be less dependent on outside entities, which can aid in preventing abuse. As I always tell my parents, if you don't provide that love and support at home, they're going to seek it and seek it in the wrong place, and then you will not be able to deal with the consequences. So we have to make our home that place where the child can feel loved and protected and want to come home. That is important.
Awesome. Are there any questions though? Any questions, or anybody want to share any comments at this time? Samsung phone, me have to big you up. You're sharing with us in the chat. We have to be careful that we don't allow our children to become too withdrawn from the outside because of us as parents being too overly protective. So they are making a comment on the overly protective. Ensure that we don't allow our child to be too withdrawn from outside because we are overly protective.
Sure, I want them to gain some level of independence too, so they can manage themselves outside of home as well.
Miss not even outside, go play outside. Some of the children don't. Some of the times they're at school, they don't even know the games, and you're wondering, they don't go outside, no. So that is true. We keep them so locked up inside that they don't experience the outside world. So I mean, like that, no, you need to take out your child. You need to carry them out and allow them to explore and really get a feel of what outside is like. Anyone else want to share? Anyone else want to share at this time? Question, Miss, is it fair to expect someone who didn't receive love as a child to be able to effectively love their own child?
All right, and that takes us back to our very first comment when we say that we need to do a check of ourselves. So if you were not loved as a child, it is going to be difficult for you to express love, but you can get help. You can reach out to a counselor or a parent session, and you can, it's not going to happen overnight, especially if you were not loved and shown that affection. So as a parent, it is going to be difficult, but you can, over a time, bond with your child and love that child, breaking that cycle from when we were as children and did not receive that love. So we said, boy, I'm never getting the love when we, you know, so I'm not know how to show love. But you can break that cycle by starting, right? Seeking help, getting some help to help you work through that.
All right, thank you very much. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Brian. What about parents who fail constantly keeping promises to their child? They fail to keep their promises to their child constantly.
Yes, man, we have that, man, especially the ones, oh boy, some I'm going to take you of. Some I'm sending, especially the parents who live abroad, and they probably want to make up for lost time. So they tell the children that they are going to take them off for summer, or they're going to come for them for their birthdays, and that didn't happen. So we have to deal with children like that who have broken promises from time to time from their parents. So if in that case, you just have to reassure your child and said that, all right, so daddy, for example, didn't come through for you, but know that I am always here with you and I'll always love you. And you know, say to the child, I hope next time he will do better. Don't go and cuss him out now and say I saw him tan. Always I make promise I will work this papa all these things. So don't go cuss him out in front of the child, you know, just find a little way to, because the little hearts are broken, you know, because they're looking forward for this thing for their birthday or to go and spend the weekend, and that weekend never come, you know. So it is indeed, and it can be traumatic and emotional for them. So we just have to find a middle ground one to bring them back and let them feel, you know, loved. And that is when you have to shower them and pour out all the love.
Okay, awesome. I hope that answers your question, Samson Phone. A question here: when the children become teenagers, they're at a rebellious stage, and everything you do, they interpret it in a different way. What do you do?
All right. So as Mr. Thompson mentioned earlier, it depends from day one that type of relationship that you form with your child. Yes, they do this. Sometimes you do everything, and you say, boy, you're doing everything right. But believe me, sometimes they set out to test your faith. But the important thing is to build a relationship with the child and let that child, even as they approach the troubled time, which is a teenager, they're searching for identity, they're listening to the peers, nothing what you say no. But make them peer tell them, you see how quick they adhere to it. So, you know, it's like you just have to be learning. Each phase, you just have to learn how to deal. Just like how at the 2-year-old, the terrible twos, they have to know how to deal with that tantrum right there. So then when they reach the preteen and the hormones start raging, they have to learn how to deal with it. So when they approach teenager now, change our approach and know that the conversation that they're going to have with them now is going to be at a different level. Sometimes as parents, the easiest thing is to just tell them something or boof bath, but that won't work. You know, you just have to try and find. And then you're going to say, Miss, me try that, I don't know what else to do. but just keep trying, and you have to be consistent and pray for your children and cover them every day and beg God to touch him one day, something will resonate. Encourage your child to go to church. At least when them start get big, them now want to go to church, you know. That is another thing. Now they have church online, so even them join online, but just get them that connection with their spiritual, spiritual, financial, all of them are important. So we have to just let them see the importance of everything. But the teenage, that is a roller coaster. So when you see your child complete high school, complete sixth form, get into university, you just have to pray and give God thanks, because there are a lot of distractions out there, parents. And so we have to be consistent, and we have to ensure that what we have at home is enough for them not to go out there to want to go after the outside world.
Awesome, awesome. Sister Nina, so your mic was, not Sister Nina, Sister Newman, your mic was open. Newman, do you want to say something? All right, so I'm seeing a question here again. Parents who bribe children to lie on their behalf, will that child be able to balance where telling the truth is concerned?
Of that as a parent. As adults, never ever get the children involved in our adults always with the baggages, you know. They'll come and see what mom and daddy just don't fight, and they come to school with that burden. As counselors, let me tell you, it's not easy. You pass a child and they sick, you know, and you stop, and when you start. So we have to tell the parents, work out your situation, leave the children out of it. Leave them out of it. Go encourage them to lie for you, cover your tracks.
Yeah.
Right? And that parents do use children to play each other, right? They do use the children to play each other, and that can be very, very dangerous.
Thank you very much. And I do agree with that, because some of the times, even when the parents are separated, you get the child in the middle of everything, and it really affects the child. So we have to be careful with that. All right. Any other? I'm not seeing any more questions. But how is it? Can we get more involved? How is it? Do we actually get more involved in our children's life?
All right. So I'll share some tips with you. You can get involved in your child's life by getting to know their friends. That's very important. Allowing them to see you and to know you are there for them no matter what. And if I should go back to the point of listening, sometimes that is when you see where the sexual abuse thing comes in, and sometimes it is being done by a family member, a trusted friend, a stepfather, father, but because, you know, your head saying, boy, that could never be. So each time the child approaches you to open that conversation, you shun the child and you don't listen. And so the problem escalates. So listening is very important. As I said, even if you're tired and you want to just talk, just spend a little time and listen to your child, right? Spend time, find out who are their friends, who they talk, they hang out with. That's also very important.
Awesome. I think Miss, a lot of Nicola friends, most of Nicola friends know me. So even on my phone, I see they always sending me message and stuff like that. So it is important to actually know your children's friends. And I know you talk about how is it that we can share love so far. You talk about how is it that the fact that we should actually protect our child, and because society has changed, we have to be careful and we have to step it up a notch. So protection is not like how it used to be. We have to step it up a notch. And the overly protective thing, as how we used to view it, we can't view it like that anymore. But I wanted to share as a guidance counselor, share with us, as we tend to seek to wrap it up, some things we can look for that might signify that a child might need some help. So we talk about maybe not my child, but even when I go there, what are some of the things I can look for?
Okay. All right. So in my role as a guidance counselor, I see children on a daily basis who are in need of support. Children in need of care, they may exhibit several different signs that you can look for. It might be physical. They come to school dirty. They have unkempt hair not home. Have dirty fingernails, appear drooping, the eyes are just, some comes, let me tell you, I have to be children. I have to comb here and I can't comb here, I have to comb here. I have to buy comb, I have hair oil, I have rubber bands because I can't do the hair, so I just use some rubber bands and, and comb it and then calling the parent to find out what is happening. Sometimes the parent is ill. On one occasion, the parent is hospitalized and the child basically was just left on his own.
Wow.
Yeah. Give me a second. Are you hearing me still?
Yes, we're hearing you. So the first thing you talk about is the physical appearance.
Yes, let me get back this thing. I seem to have lost my camera here. Yeah, physical appearance. That's important as well. Let me log in on my phone. This thing seems to be active.
I think I see something else in the chat. Let me look at it.
Trying to log in and I think I've lost something on that tablet. Give me a second. Let me find back.
Sure. I'm seeing it. So we have okay. While somebody was saying that they have family games night at church and some things or expression that comes out. My husband and I learn a lot how our children act under pressure.
Yes. So even as at home, you can have family time. I know it is work and you're tired, but just find that little time to just have, that little conversation, to just listen. And sometimes through your conversation with your child, pick up that something is wrong with another child in their class as well. Oftentimes it is through the eyes of another peer, because they tend to share with their peers, and then that peer now will accompany them to the guidance room, and so we take it from there. So when you see certain signs, we have to intervene. We call in the parent, do some home visits, and have the conversation, and then intervene where we can.
Right.
So for example, as you said, it may not be your child, but maybe in your community and you notice these things, then you can reach out to the school where the child attends, ask and speak with the guidance counselor, and then counselor will take it from there.
Awesome. And
we also
1 minute, miss, there's a point here which is very important. Some parents don't laugh with their children. So you find that they're quick to discipline, but there's no fun time. So I think that is very important. We need to find, as you are saying, we need to find time to spend with our children, fun time. And not all about the book, because we do that too.
Yes, definitely. And that can lead the child into depression. So another side, we can also look for some emotional expressions, right? So a child may be excessively angry, they may bully others, and they may be disrespectful to authority and lack regard for themselves. So they don't just, they don't care about anything at all. So those are some signs we can look forward to emotional. Just, stop and say, what is happening? I had a boy, 36 boy, and he came to the office and was really angry and he did, so he bullied another boy, much younger than me. And when he came and, I saw the rage and because even though as counselors sometimes, reality is based on how another child may treat another child, especially younger, you want to snap. And so I sat back and I did my deep breathing, looked at him, and then I just changed my approach completely. And then what he shared with me, opened up a whole new can of worms of what he was going through.
Oh,
right.
Awesome. All right, so we look at the emotional, we look how they would snap, or they're always angry or sad.
Right, now we look at the social. So a child may be attention seeking or they may be withdrawn. So they might come and 100 times they come in the office. And if they pass you 99 times, they want to hold and they want to. So overly clingy, seeking attention, or they may be withdrawn. So you also look for that child who at lunchtime sits by themselves, break time in the class, they just want to be by themselves, not going anywhere. So you also take the time to reach out to that child as well to see what is happening.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Miss. Thank you very much. Okay, go ahead.
The one financially. So we had physical, emotional, social, and now we look at the financial part of it. So a child may come to school without the relevant supplies, come to school without lunch or means to get in lunch, they may be hungry. So also those are some of the things that that we have to look out for. And these signs must be observed over a period of time. So it's not a one-off situation. I'm going to jump to the conclusion to say this is happening. So we observe over a period of time. And if you see this thing is happening, you know it is time for you to intervene.
Awesome. Awesome. So we hear a lot from you from beginning, a lot. And I do hope that we will take something from tonight. But I'm going to give persons another opportunity to ask any other question you want to ask or to share with us. So let me give persons the opportunity to do that quickly. Anyone would like to share?
With you the number to call to report any form of child abuse. I'll do that at the end.
Okay, Miss. Thank you. Samsung Phone said that they love this. Thank you, Samsung Phone, for actually sharing with us this evening as well. Anyone, you have any other question? All right. So, Miss, it's over to you to share the number, and I want you to actually, after you share the number, then I want to just ask a final question.
Sure. All right. So do not hesitate to report cases of child abuse. Even if you do not have all the facts, you can still report as the matter will be investigated by the Child Protection and Family Services Agency. So the number to call is 211, and Mrs. Clarke can put it in the chat. So even if you suspect that something is happening, you don't have all the facts, just call that number, report your suspicion. Your name will not be given out or anything, but you would be happy to know that you intervened and may save a child's life or save a child from being abused.
You said 211?
Yeah, 211. So that is for the Child Protection and Family Services Agency.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
So we're bringing it down, but I see two. How do you deal with a teen when they think they are ready for a relationship? Wow.
Okay, and at what age are we talking about? I would have probably 18 or, they're, well.
Miss, when they're 18, I don't think they're children. They would, I think it's...
So for me...
Like 8 up, like 8 up, 8? Or
8
18?
up?
18.
Oh, 18. Okay. Right. So basically that individual is now touching adults, right? And
Right.
so while you're not going to say, no, you're not ready to abort, because it is going to happen, we have to accept the reality that one day our little boys or little girls are going to grow up and they are going to be their own person. So as a parent now, you're going to have that conversation with them to let them know that be sure that this is what you want. If the person is in school, encourage them to stay focused on their goals that they have in mind. And do not let anything, if the person is going to prevent them from achieving that goal, then that's a red flag. The relationship for now should be one that the person can come to your house, sit down with your daughter or son, have a conversation. No gym speech thing now round in the corner, because they are building that relationship with the child and also with the person that your child or your teenager wants to have that relationship with. Encourage them not to get sexual right away too. Get to know the person. And you still want to teach them the biblical way, but however, it's for them to accept is another thing. But let it not be said that you didn't point them in that direction.
The person is saying that the person is saying that they try, but the boys they try to have a conversation, but the boys
especially now, especially if the fathers are not around to have that conversation. Oh boy, us female, for me, I'm a single mother, I'm a widow, I have a son. So he's 8 now, but I don't know what will happen later on. But if there is no male figure, find a trusted mentor that can help you with your male child, because you can be the best mommy, the best single mommy, but you cannot take the space of a father. Yeah. Mother will never ever take the space of a father. So if there's no father around, find a trusted male, an uncle or somebody in the church member is a trusted that you feel comfortable with and who can have the conversations with their child or children.
And the truth is, the person said it, some daddies not going to have the conversation. So you still have to, as you say, the second thing is that you have to find somebody who is trusted that you can actually.
Because again, it goes back to how they were socialized. Because maybe when they were growing up, nobody had any conversation. So you go look, yeah, gals are by a certain age, if you don't have a girlfriend, then label and they call you all kind of names and stuff like that. So we need to break out of that culture where we can have the conversation with our males as we would have it with our females.
Awesome. Chelsea was saying that the thing is, when we try to raise children in a robotic way, they are going to rebel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that is true.
Yes.
And so finally, the final one I'm seeing here, what advice would you give to parents who train their children to beg?
Oh, that needs deep intervention. Why would you train your child to beg? Maybe it's for economical purposes. So that parent needs to go and find a job, and that is actually child labor, and they can face the law for that. So that ought not to happen. If you know of that, find a way to report it. I know the inform of dead culture prevents us from addressing a lot of issues, and so many of these things go unattended to, and so the cycle continues, because we see children out there begging, and we know that there are some adults behind it. You understand? Yes. And so it is a very tough world out there, but sometimes we just have to brave up and do what we need to do if we're going to save our children.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Oh, Samson phone clarified to say that she's not afraid to talk to the boys, but I am not afraid. I'm not afraid to talk to my boys, and I talk comfortable. but they just think it's a man thing. All right, a man.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, there are certain things they probably don't want to share with us. They would rather share it with their mate. Because I tell you, when we have all the puberty classes, and when I say to my grade 6 boys, this will happen, and they can see and you say, nobody don't talk to you about it. So even if they don't get it at home, we have to try and give it to them at school. We try to get them enough information so they in turn can make informed decisions about their life, as they grow up.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So, Miss, we want to just bring this evening to a close, and we want to thank you for sharing and thank the persons who came online to actually come on and to share, to participate. But finally, Miss, I want you to wrap it all up this evening and just leave something with the parents that are here, and advice and encouragement, something I want you to leave with the parents, and not only parents, the guardians and all the persons online.
All right. So although we know that May is earmarked for children, that this whole month is dedicated logical, whether those that we foster, those that schools may alone want to express this love all year round, every month, every day. Children, they don't born with handbook parents. It is a learning process. Sometimes you want to tear our hair out, because even as counselors, pastors, you name it, they come with the challenges. But again, listen to your child, to come to you, to have that conversation, show them love. Even when you're angry at them, avoid using sometimes I want to call them some words and tell them some things, but already sipping in anger, walk away, count to 10. Wisdom about, let us see what could they have done differently. I know it sounds all bookish, but we can make a start, right? So the first thing, listen to your child. Whatever they're coming to tell you, just find that little time to listen to them. Show them love so they don't go searching for love. If any of my parents come to me, they can tell you that. I always tell them, show them love so they don't go searching for it in the wrong place. And it's not just our female, again, love them.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Miss. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask you to pray us out this evening. But before, I want to just remind the parents that are here that every child is different. One size is not going to fit all of them. And even if you have a twin, they are different. So how you deal with one, you might have to deal with the other one differently. As Miss said, they don't come with handbook. Parenting don't come with handbook either. We get tips and stuff like that. But we have to ensure that we get to know our children and deal with them according to knowledge. You understand? This is how this one might be very troublesome, and the other one is, quiet and all of that. So you have to balance it and you have to know how to deal with them. So spend time to learn about your child, to learn about your children, and deal with them accordingly. I want to thank you again for joining. And we want to ask Miss to just close us out in prayer this evening before we just say good night.
All right, let us pray, everyone. Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we meet together in this fashion as parents, as caregivers, whether it's our biological, whether it's those that come into our care, or those at church and in the community at wide. ask that you continue to give us wisdom, give us patience, and give us understanding as we continue this journey of parenting. And we look to you for guidance, Lord, as we cannot do this alone. So we ask that you strengthen our parents who are online right now, those who may be having kids with their children. I ask, Lord, that you give the insight and that you may point them to the right direction, to the right persons, that they can get some guidance and help themselves with dealing with these issues. So we just ask these and other mercies in your name, pray. Amen. You're muted, Mrs. Clarke, and I hear you.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you very much for joining. Samsung phone was saying that yes, we need to get to know our children, and that is very, very, very important. Okay, so this is it for tonight on Transformation Thursdays with Coach Cola. See you again next month. We do this every fourth Thursday, same link, and we do it at 7 p.m. Do enjoy the rest of your evening, and God bless you.
And I'm happy that I was able to share.
Thanks again, Miss. Thank you very much.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi.
Good night. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Okay, do enjoy the rest of your evening.